Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Alumni Spotlight podcast. I'm your host, Serena Thomas, and joining me today as co host is Anish Godse. As a part of our Alumni Spotlight series, we bring alumni of our CRC community who have achieved great success and have set a benchmark in their respective careers. Today, we are joined by a truly special personality, Mr. Hoshang Daroga, Investment Director at Elston Consulting. He's an accomplished finance professional with extensive experience across quantitative research, portfolio management, and a systematic investing. He holds a master's in financial engineering from UCLA Anderson and an MBA in finance from Fordham University. But what makes this conversation extra special is that Mr. Hoshang is also a proud alumnus of our very own Father Conceição Rodrigues College of Engineering. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome you back, sir. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. Pleasure is mine. And I don't think I'm used to hearing my own profile being spoken about so nicely. So thank you very much for that. Very kind words.
So I think before we dive into the technical questions and your journey post college, so let's take a trip back to your days at CRCE. We recently wrapped up another fantastic crescendo, and that might word might recall something for you, and
Yeah.
which is our annual technical fest. And we have learned something special that you are actually the one who have pioneered crescendo through the IEEE
Yeah.
committee, and that's quite a legacy. And what we have researched about you, we know that you were part of the students council and you had a part in the organizing the annual debate which has become the FRCRC is a debate which has become quite a thing now. So could you share with us some of the memories from those college days and something special from the maybe crescendo, maybe the debate, something funny from the students' council, or maybe what reminds you of CRC, some professor or some of that?
Well, you're absolutely right. Like we started up Crescendo. It was the first time we were looking at Crescendo. We pioneered it. I think there were some ideas being thrown around to say, let's start up a festival or technical festival. There was always a cultural festival at the end of the year, but we wanted to make it a more for technical festival. And I still remember, yeah, we set it up. We set up certain games and certain sort of competitions, you can say. There was a bit of a robotics competition, lots of things, and we had good fun. So we participated in it as well. So it was not just organizing. We had a little team that participated in the competition, and there's some good memories. It's very hard to put them in words, what we did back then, but I'm sure everyone who's participating, who's organizing these competitions would be having a fantastic time. And these are some core memories that kind of stick with you through your life, and the friendships you make are forever. So sure you guys as well, if you are organizing it or participating, you'll be having some really good fun times. I can't think of anything funny that comes to mind, but lots of professors and the way they interacted with us, they taught us, and lots of funny stories. I think it's better not mention this on a recorded call. I think that would be quite controversial, but absolutely. No, these were some really fun memories that I have. So
Yeah, that was great.
yeah.
So we'll move on to something what you are doing today. So could you share something about how you started as an electronics engineer and now you are into finance and into the global markets, which is not really what people choose as their journey in the career path. So, and what technical aspect that you learned at CRC, if that really helped you in your journey, and what reminds you throughout the journey?
Sure. So, like every engineer, before we graduated, there's this big placement that tended to happen. I'm not sure what it is now, but back in the day when we were graduating, the two biggest companies, TCS and Infosys, regardless of your batch background, were you mechanical, electronics, computers, IT, that doesn't matter what you did, right? Like, doesn't matter what you studied. They would just come in and take a massive batch, and you go through this process of interview and some tests. I remember doing those tests, and that's what happened to me basically. So where they came in, there was no like future plan I had in my mind that this is what I wanted to do. They just came in, they did tests, we sat there, we gave the interview. And I still remember that interview. It was a very funny interview with TCS. So I was one of the last candidates to do the interview. Okay, so it's like a full day thing. I'm sure you know about it.
Yeah.
And it was a full day thing. And this was, I think now we had overrun our time slot, and it was 6 o'clock in the evening. Okay, and I was probably the second last or the third last candidate that they were interviewing. And even the interviewers were bored. Okay, the whole day, it was very tiring. And they go through my resume. They said, yeah, it's all good, you're bright, everything, you got some good marks, and just look at all that, that's fine. But then they went to the last line in your resume, which everyone says your hobbies. Okay, like, what do you like to do? And I have no idea why I had the word dancing in there. And so they picked on it. So they're like, oh, you said you like to dance. And so they're like, come on then, show us some dance moves. And I was like, no, I mean, I need, so I tried to make up some excuse, right? Like, I was like, no, I need music to dance. Like, I can't just dance, like, it's very awkward. Like, you can't just dance. They're like, okay, I have a better idea. Why don't you sing and dance? And I was like, great, now I have to sing and dance for this guy. And I was like, no, this is professional interview and I don't think it's appropriate. They're like, look, you want the job, you either do it or you won't get the job. So then I remember I was like, okay, I guess this is it. So I stood up, and there are these classrooms where you have, I don't know if it's still there, but you have these round circles, like a little window
Yeah,
that you can see into those
Yeah,
classrooms.
we still have
And so
it.
the two guys who were behind me, who were after me, looked into the window and seeing like what's happening. And they look at me and they're like, oh my God, they are making this guy dance. And I'm doing some moves there. And people are like, I don't know how to dance. Like, how am I going to get through this interview? And it was a very funny story back then. And then I got the job. So I suppose it doesn't matter if you're technically smart. Maybe you just know how to dance and you'll get the job in TCS. That was the skill they wanted. So it was a good, yeah, that's how I got into TCS. Did 2 years there as a computer programmer. There were some good sort of skills that I picked up. It was more microprocessor, assembly language programming, which you normally don't do nowadays. But then that was like the first salary you used to get. And by default, people are talking about stock markets. And I started investing in the stock markets. And this was the years between 2006 and 2008. Okay, so I don't know how much history you remember about stock markets, but 2006 to 2008 or 2007, global stock markets were just going up. Okay, like it didn't matter what you bought as a stock. So there I was picking stocks, and things were just going up like crazy. And I was like, wow, I must be a great investor. I'm picking the right stocks, and everything I'm buying is just going up, and I'm making money. But then in 2007, things started going bad with the financial crisis, and stocks went down, and I lost money. And that's when I realized, oh, like what's happening? Why am I losing money? And I started doing a bit more research. And again, this is, back then it was a lot of money for me because this was my only income. But looking back now, that money is tiny because the way you grow over time is different. So yeah, so it's valuable lessons. And I did some courses on the National Stock Exchange. They had these certification courses, and I had no background in finance, right? Like I didn't have an MBA, I didn't have anything in finance. And I did these courses. They gave me some good knowledge and insight about thinking about finance, stock markets, how they work. how stocks work, how bonds work, how different asset classes work, how trading works, understanding all of it. And then I wanted to switch to finance. I was like, well, computer programming is there, but my heart is more into the stock market. I'm enjoying this a lot more, just learning and trying to implement what I'm learning in finance. So basically, everybody told me that, well, you can't get a job in finance unless you have an MBA, right? So this is the only way you can get into finance from an engineering background is do an MBA or do a master's in business or master's in economics or something like some advanced degree in finance. That's the only way you can get into finance. But I was like, well, I know that's the case, but I mean, until you actually apply, you won't find out if you're getting the job or not. And so I said, you know what? I'll just put my resume out there and I'll apply. And I blindly applied whatever I could. And then one day I got a call saying that we would want you to go for an interview. We think you're the right fit. And it's a trading firm based in Mumbai, and they trade US stock markets. And I was like, first I thought someone's pranking me. Okay, I honestly thought this is some friend of mine who's messing with me, calling me up saying, oh, hello, I'm a recruiter. And I was like, I didn't believe it for the first time. And then they're like, okay, I'll send you the information. I was like, yeah, please email it to me. And then they emailed me and it all sounded legit. And then I just showed up for the interview, and next thing you know, I made it through. And I was basically competing with all the MBAs in finance and masters in finance, the people there. And they were from IIT, IIM, okay? Like, these are not some random people who've just done a random MBA. These are like proper top elite people who showed up. But I think where I stood out was more on general knowledge. So, there were questions about who was the Fed governor back then, and how interest rates work and how this works, how that works. And a lot of that is not really taught in an MBA finance book, but I ended up knowing and learning just pure out of curiosity and my experience. And so that's how I got a job in trading and finance. And then from there, just kept going. So I know, long answer, but that's how I ended up in finance, if that makes sense. And yeah, I think it's a factor of luck. There was definitely luck. But then I can also say that I worked hard and I tried. I mean, unless you try, you won't find out. So I would say is, don't just accept whatever everyone says that, oh, this is how it is, this is the norm, and you're like, oh, fine, this is how it is, and you just go ahead with it. You want to just try something. Like, you won't find out. There's no harm in failing, right? Like, at least okay, I tried, didn't work out, and then let's do it the other way. So I think that's probably what I would say. And then I think the second part of your question was transferable skills from engineering to finance. What I would say is, and this has always been my interview answer, okay? So every time people ask me about this is my answer in an interview. So I'm letting you on a secret there. So my answer is, the definition of the word engineering is practical application of knowledge. Okay, engineers are not PhD people who are doing theoretical work. Engineers are people who read, study things in the book and say, okay, how can I apply this in real world life? And that could be computer engineering, saying, okay, I understand how to write a code, but now I need to solve a problem writing a code. So it's that practical application of knowledge. And in a way, it's true. So everything you learn it's just, you train your mind. And engineer's brain is basically, you learn something and you try and apply it. So all I did was I learned about finance and I tried to apply it. And the whole engineering kind of taught me how to learn something and how to apply it in real life. And I think if you focus on that while you are going through your courses, to say, I mean, some of it you can't apply, right? Like, I know a lot of subjects taught in engineering, they may not actually have practical utility value. It's just good to know stuff, but try and think about things that say, okay, I know how this works. Now, can I apply it in real life? So that's probably my answer to
Yeah, that was great. Also, one thing that 4 years of engineering students think it's a tough time and they go through the placements which they find very tough. So something that you picked up through the uh, you worked it out 4 years and then you went into a different field. So something that you picked up at CRC, maybe personally or professionally, that would help the students.
Um, I think what I would say is there. I was very arrogant as a person back then, and my experiences were such that I didn't realize I was arrogant, right? Like I was just a bit arrogant, but not knowing I was arrogant. But then through teachers, friends, and with subtle talks and hints and people telling me, I realized that I need to be a bit more humble about things. And so I think that's more of a personal thing rather than a professional thing. So I've tried to be a bit more less arrogant, or so I think the better way to frame this is to try and talk to people based on their level of knowledge about a subject. So if you know something about, so for example, if I know something about finance and say you are a PhD in physics, you know more in physics than me, but I know more in finance than you. So I can't talk down to you saying, oh, this is just common knowledge, like you should know about this, that type of thing. So try and like keep in mind the other person's background when you talk to them, and don't talk down to them. So, and I think that helps you just build better relationships professionally and personally. Was what I would say. But yeah, there's nothing I would say from a
I think
technical perspective.
that was great. I think we can move to the next section,
Yeah.
Serena.
Yeah. So I just want to ask that from your experience across roles in trading and portfolio management and investment strategy, what are a few professional habits or principles that you live by today, like till date?
Right. So things that I picked up in trading, again, trading made me a more humble person. Okay. And this is hard because what happens in trading is you cannot get every trade right.
Correct.
It is it's impossible for any trader, even the best person in the world. I mean, okay, let me ask you a question. Who do you think is the best investor in the world? Like, who has made billions and billions in investment? Anyone that you can think of or name?
Maybe Warren Buffett.
Warren Buffett. There you go. Right? Everybody knows Warren Buffett. But did you know he has made so many bad investment decisions throughout his career? He has made so many investments that have gone to zero. They've become zero, bankrupt. Okay, look, so many businesses. But that doesn't stop him. But I think the point being that trader makes you humble. Those mistakes kind of make you go back to the drawing board and realize saying, oh, what did I do wrong? How come I missed this? Like, why did this investment fail, whereas other investments in a similar format did well? And so it makes you a bit more humble, and it makes you realize that you don't deal like you are not a god. You can't predict the markets predict you, or markets basically show you what the right thing is. So what I would say is trading made me humble, and the other thing you pick up is risk management. It's a big word, and people think, oh, risk management, I have no idea what that means. Maybe finance, you're looking at all sorts of risk statistics, but I'm not telling you in that way. We as people, okay, and this very crazy example that comes to my mind. Do you guys drive cars?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys drive cars. Okay. So when you're driving a car, you don't realize it, but your brain is automatically doing some form of risk management, especially in Mumbai. When you're driving, you're always trying to figure out, oh, is he going to bump me? Is he going to come from here? Is someone coming from stop? Shall I slow down? Shall I speed up? Shall I turn? Shall I stop at the red light? Is that Pandu guy standing there? He will catch me, or shall I break the light and shall I go away? So you're always thinking about risk management. And so basically you try and apply that risk management framework with everything you do, any decisions you make, to say, is this going to benefit me, or what's the risk if it doesn't work out, this decision, not just trading but in your professional career, if you get a new job, for example, a new job offer, you have to think through it, saying, is this the right step for me? What's the downside? What if it doesn't work out? What if that's not what I wanted? Like, what if? And just play that out in your head. I think that will be like the single biggest, um, I would say, thing that I do in any decision I make.
Okay. And also, one more thing is that since you mentioned that engineers are the ones who do stuff practically, right? So, right now, our college has become autonomous, and his batch is not in autonomy, but like my batch is the first batch who are in autonomous. So, like, we have subjects related to tax, and we also have law, emerging law technology, and we also have debates and everything. So, it's definitely changed, and we are actually implementing things practically nowadays. So I think the times have changed, and yeah,
That's
that
fantastic.
CRC is building.
And that's brilliant. I mean, this is it, right? Like, education shouldn't just be about learning what's in the book. Education should be something that you actually make use in your life. So I'm very happy that you guys are learning about things that apply. And this is another thing I personally believe, and I'm glad you guys are doing it a little bit. Like personal finance, okay? Because I'm in finance, I see and I meet like people from different fields as well. Like, I've got friends who are doctors, who are lawyers, who are engineers. But what I realize when talking to them, that nobody has been taught personal finance. Like, they could be making a lot of money through their work, but they have no clue how to manage that money or invest that money. And the problem why they don't know that is because it's never taught in school. It's never taught in, professional, unless you're actually studying finance. It's never taught from ground root level. And it's not difficult. Like, I mean, some of the stuff is basic. Like, at least people should know basic finance to say, what to invest in, like what's a term deposit. I know you learn over the years with your mom and dad, but you pick up habits what your mom dad have, and they have picked up habits from their parents and your grandparents. But without knowing, you wouldn't actually make good personal finance decisions. So I'm glad you guys are learning about it. And this is it's some of these things that should be taught, that is used in daily life. So very good.
Yeah, and because of that subject I actually started investing, so that was a big deal to like have that
Excellent.
in it. Yeah, yeah.
May you be may you make a lot of money.
Yes, yes.
Maybe in 10 years time I'll come to you, Serena, to ask for some investment advice.
Sure.
Hope. Perfect.
Okay, so I just want to ask that since much of your work is rooted in like data analytics and quantitative investing, how do you see technology transforming the world of finance and investment research with the inclusion of AI?
Yeah. No, AI is so 2 years ago, 3 years ago, again, because I'm in finance, we look at stocks and we can look at investments that deal with AI. I would say 2 years ago, if you met me, and I would have said AI is it's just another one of those fads, that fancy toy that everyone loves to play with, and then it just loses its utility value, and everyone moves on to the next best thing. But as time has progressed, and the research I've been reading and finding out is AI is huge. Like, the amount of money and investment that's going into AI, it's extraordinary. It's like off the chart scale. And it just means that AI is now being heavily invested in, a bit like the internet, right? Like, we all thought internet, well, I was there when the first computers started to use internet, where we used to do dial-up connections, and the modem used to make these funny sounds before it connected to the internet. But basically, that has evolved, and that evolution, if you see today, we have internet everywhere, on our phones, on all smart devices, on TVs. It's everywhere, and I feel that AI could end up being one of those revolutionary things where it'll be pretty much everywhere, where it does a lot of work for you. And very simple example. So yes, I've been a software programmer engineer, but I don't know all languages, right? Like, all coding languages. And just this year, we had to use a SQL database for whatever reason. The data was in SQL database and the Microsoft Azure database. And I had to write SQL queries or DAX queries to access the data. I had no clue what the syntax was. I had no clue how do I do it. All I did was open up ChatGPT and I said, this is my database structure and I want this. And it wrote me a lovely query. All I had to do is copy, paste, execute, and it gave me the answer. So this is just the step one. And I was like, well, I didn't need any knowledge of coding. I mean, if this was me, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I had to open up and understand the syntax, understand how things work, write like hundreds of queries and have a failed response saying, no, this is not right, or syntax wrong, or some incorrect answer. But this was instant. So you see that productivity gain that has just come across from what it was 3 years ago that people could do versus what it's now. And it's just becoming better and better and better every day. And there's so much data being generated every day that AI can just feed off that data. Now, you've got to be careful. I'm not just saying that AI will solve all our problems. Maybe eventually it will, but not yet. So you've got to be careful and use some form of judgment to confirm that, is this what you wanted? Is this the right answer? Does it look right? But there is, AI is going to be everywhere. So maybe in a few years' time, my job will be redundant. AI takes over a lot of the stuff we do. And I might be in your boat, when you are graduating, I might be in the same boat saying, I'm starting fresh. You and I are kind of on par trying to figure out what next job we can do. Maybe I have a few more years of experience over you guys, but I will have to probably rethink and recreate or reimagine my own self for my job and how I add value. So yeah, don't get stuck to a job or don't get stuck to a particular role. Things change suddenly and it can all get redundant. So yeah, AI is pretty much has the potential to take over the world. And I think, if I remember correctly, a lot of these IT providers like TCS, Infosys, they're now pausing hiring or laying off people because AI can do a lot of the coding that most programmers could do. So they're just enhancing. So all I'd say is be more, use AI, figure it out, learn how to use AI, learn how to use prompts. And when you actually go for interviews, people like me will be interviewing you. And people like me don't have the time to learn AI and prompts. And so people hiring you would be like, do you know AI? Can you help our business figure this out? And by using some form of AI. And if you say, yeah, I'm very good at AI, I can write whatever code, I can improve your marketing, I can improve your sales, I can improve your supply chain, whatever that is. And if you can show that you are valued, you'll be hired. And it's not just like a very low paying job, but you'll be paid good money. But you really need to be good at this AI and understanding it and how it works. So yeah. I would say, yeah, if you're playing around with things, just play around with AI and understand how it's all working.
As you mentioned, ChatGPT gets things done in a few clicks. Similarly, recently AI is now into machine learning and deep learning. It's able to analyze huge amounts of data and find intricate patterns. So when it comes to patterns, it's linked up with trading and finance. So automated trading programs and such stuff is coming up. So what's your take on that?
So the take on it is, some people may have figured it out, but not everyone. The generic use case or AI case that we're seeing hasn't been able to pick stocks better than any individual yet. Again, this was all preliminary days. It's basically changing every day, right? Every day there could be a new development, new update. So maybe in 2 years' time, 5 years' time, some firms would have figured that out. But the thing with trading, because it's related to money, and money is relative, just always remember that, right? Everything you do is all relative stuff. So if everyone had $1 billion all the people on this earth had $1 billion, then it's just lost its value because everyone can buy everything and there's no need to try and outpace or compete with the other person. The reason why you're working harder is to make more money, but not just make more money in absolute terms, but make more money than the other person so you can afford more. Unfortunate truth, okay? And I'm not saying be greedy, but I'm saying if you analyze the entire world or the economy in total, what people are trying to do is trying to maximize their wealth relative to everybody else. And so if all the AI models if anyone figures this out, they're not going to let that secret out. So if someone's figured out AI trading and is making millions, they're not going to share this with the whole world. And they might just keep it to themselves and try and make their millions using AI models. But I can also say markets are efficient. So similar deep learning quant models that were used 10 years ago, which were making money, have stopped making money. And so what I've realized in quant trading, it's all about, I love a quote from one of my professors that I studied. He's like, a quant model or an AI model, or whatever the trading model you have, it's like flying in a plane in midair and repairing it and fixing it and recreating it, redesigning it in midair. So you're always trading, but you're always figuring it out, always trying to fix it to say, how do I get better and how do I keep flying? So yeah, I think I digressed, but kind of to your answer saying, yeah, what is the implications? There could be some people doing it, but not everyone can do it, because if everyone can do it, it closes. There's no arbitrage. There's no other side to the trade. So if you can make money and the other person can also do that same thing, then there's no other side of the trade. So you can't really. So it's always relative in finance. For every buyer, you have a seller. So there has to be a seller.
Right. So currently, fintech is booming globally and bringing blockchain and digital payments, especially in India, to the forefront. So, from your perspective, how important is it for students and young professionals to develop financial literacy along with some business acumen, alongside understanding fintech? And how can educational institutions and industry together cultivate awareness and skills to prepare this next generation of students, along with technology, but financial literacy and fintech knowledge uh, to the evolving current times?
I think this is a very deep question. It is more of a question rather than me personally or you personally, but it's more of a question as a collective society, as an economy. And this question has to be tackled at the policy level in all the countries in the world, not just India or the UK or the US. It has to be tackled at that national level, where these questions should be put to the Department of Education. One of the reasons, and I could be very wrong, I don't have any data supporting it, but I feel one of the reasons where people from poorer and underprivileged backgrounds are not able to fully come up is because they don't understand how financing works, and what the implication is for taking loans at higher interest rates. It's a bit like the old feudal farmers, right? Like when farmers used to take loans and they couldn't repay loans, they were servants for their entire life. And not just the farmer, their kids and their kids and their entire family line was servants back in the day. And only those rich people used to always stay rich. So I think this has to be tackled at a more grassroots, level in school, where people should be taught the very basics of finance and just personal finance. It doesn't have to be complicated. Trust me, it has to be very basic. But we definitely should incorporate this in school level. Not even engineering level, not even postgrad. You have to be at school level where people need to learn this. If you want to buy something, you first need to save some money to buy something, or you borrow money. But if you borrow money, you can go into this very bad loop of you can never come out. So I think that will help just the nation from making bad choices, and it will also prevent fraud. Because if you have some basic understanding of finance, there'll be less frauds that take place, you won't be able to scam people that easily. So I think it can solve a lot of problems, but it has to be tackled at the policy level. Yeah.
Yeah. So building on that, CRC, so the college is excited to be launching a new student-run fintech council. So it's called Business and Finance, so Biznance. And its aim is to create a vibrant platform for students that can develop practical knowledge and skills for careers in finance. So they can learn asset management, trading, etc. And the vision is to empower students to gain a financial literacy, as you mentioned, hands-on business experience, which is needed, and leadership skills, which is a must in the currently startup growing industry, to succeed in global finance. So, from your experience, how valuable do you think such initiatives are for students, and what advice would you give to the upcoming council and its students to make the most of the opportunities?
I think it is fantastic. Okay, like I wish I had all of this when I was in engineering. Like I think what you guys are doing is absolutely fantastic. Um, this will benefit your students absolutely, but this could even become a more of a bigger phenomenon where this could then percolate across the entire engineering colleges across Mumbai. You can actually do more joint stuff, joint work with across other colleges. I feel this is a fantastic initiative. Absolutely go for it, do it. I'm not sure what resources you need, but connect with alumni, connect with people in finance, and everyone have different experiences. So I'm not a fintech guy. I haven't built a business from scratch by building some app or some fintech solution. But yeah, you just have to reach out with people with different experiences, and seek their guidance in their respective sort of areas. But I think this is a great initiative. And yeah, if you have any specific questions that you need guidance for, I'm happy to help. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, I'm so, in a way, I'm proud of you guys. Well done. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Serena, I think we can move to the next question.
Okay. So I just want to ask you that what is one mistake or learning moment from your early career that taught you something or the other, and that you are actually implementing it right now in your life, that one lesson?
Um, I'm trying to think one mistake in my early career. Well, I've spoken about mistakes like trading or risk management, and be more humble is what I would say. That probably comes down to it. I think it's more of a general thing, if I can be honest, rather than personal. What happens is most people who graduate end up not having a lot of soft skills, and I think you have to work a little bit on soft skills. It could be just communication, more presentation. Most students, I am very sure, are technically really good. Okay, you guys are very good in math. I'm sure you guys are good in science and engineering and all those concepts. You can grasp all of it very well. But I think at some point you do realize that not everyone can speak publicly, express their views, express their understanding of certain things in simple words to someone who doesn't understand finance. So it's a bit like always kind of remind yourself saying, if someone doesn't have a background in what you're talking about, try and explain it like you're explaining it to your grandmother, right? Like if you have to explain a simple light or electricity and how it works, kind of try and explain that to your grandmother. So I think that, and it is one of the hardest things to do. Okay, like this is what we have realized in my job. A lot of the stuff we do is very technical, and we can get caught up in these big jargon words that we can talk about, but in the end investor has no clue about any of this. So we have to try and break down these complex principles in more simpler words with giving examples, analogies about various things. So I wouldn't say I learned it by mistake or any mistakes that I've made, but this is something that I've learned over the years, to have good communication skills. Um, it's as necessary as having good technical skills. Trust me. And you just have to come out from your shell, your bubble. Like I was a very bad public speaker. I hated public speaking. I just didn't even want to go in front of my own class and talk to them. It just, and it's normal. Everyone feels nervous. Everyone feels scared while talking publicly. But I think you just have to push yourself and maybe even do like public speaking courses outside of school or university or college. But this will really help keep you, set you apart from the rest of the people.
So when was the time that you realized that, public speaking has that much level of importance? Was it during the trading or
No,
TCS?
not doing trading. Like traders are basically the most introvert people you'll ever meet. Like they just love being glued to their screen, not telling anyone anything. They're just like happy in their own little introvert world, trading away the stock market. So I would say, when did I figure this out? I think I figured this out quite later on, where I moved to the UK and I started this job here. And I think I figured out then. Fortunately, when I did my MBA or my master's in financial engineering in the US, they basically focused a lot on presentation because they realized that everyone understands these concepts very well. But what really sets you apart is explaining what you've done in simple words to the audience. And so that helped. I didn't realize it was helping, but that helped build more confidence to just speak out publicly. And then in my job now, like I do end up speaking to a lot of people, a lot of clients, and you have to really break down some of the concepts in simpler words to make them understand. And then they trust you. So if you talk all technical stuff and it just flies over their heads, and they're like, yeah, this guy may be knowing everything, but I can't really interact much with him because I just don't understand him. And they may not do business with you. But if you are explaining it to them in simple words, they're like, oh, I like this explanation. And then they'll be like, I'll use it with someone else. And that kind of helps build more trust and confidence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is
And
yeah, sure.
after the last year of engineering, many people are clueless about what to pursue further, like to if their passion is in some other field or they want to do a job and then figure out what to do in life. Then what would be your thing to guide them?
A piece of
This
advice.
is very hard, right? Like this is very personal. Like, I mean, I figured out that I liked finance and trading and all sorts of stuff. A lot of people want that. So most people think, oh, that's very glamorous. Like you make a lot of money. Sometimes you don't make a lot of money being in finance. It's not always the case. So don't just think of it from a money angle or perspective. I think you should figure out what you really enjoy doing. I enjoy finance, which is why I'm in it. But if some people just enjoy computer programming, like people, I know some guys who just absolutely love coding. So I think the idea is more to figure out what you enjoy doing. So one of the things in engineering is you learn different subjects and different things, and it's not to actually teach you the actual mechanics of everything, but it's more to give you an idea of what's what out there. And then if you gravitate towards a particular subject, then you might want to explore that further. Um, it could, at least the guys with me, we had electronics, we had microchip fabrication. And if you explore this further and if you become really good at it, like AI is needing a lot of data centers, which is powered by microchips. And if you figure that out, like you can basically be at the cutting edge of any field depending on your preference, what you actually enjoy doing. So I think it's a very personal question to say whatever you enjoy doing, but that's very hard to figure out. Most people don't know what they want, and that's the hardest thing. I didn't know what I wanted until I was in TCS, and I figured out. I stumbled upon stock markets, and it's. But I think eventually people do figure out. People do have their calling, and it'll come. So don't stress if you don't know what you want to do. Maybe even I'll say just enjoy life a little bit, because these are the best memories you'll have when you grow up 10, 20, 30, 50 years from now, and you look back on your life like, yeah, I did all the hard work, but what you really remember is all the fun you had with all your friends back in college days, and you never get that time back. So yeah yeah, maybe I shouldn't be saying this if this is going to professors and teachers, but have fun in college. Like, you've got one of the best locations in Bombay. Okay,
Totally.
Absolutely.
so like, come on. I know it's you don't get time from college and studies and classes and all of that, but make time. Go out, just have fun. Do something fun. So yeah, don't forget that. Don't get caught up in this whole study race.
And if there is someone who is chosen to go into finance, would there be an ideal path that you would ask the person to follow, or will it be just get exposed to a number of things and then figure it out?
Yeah, there's no ideal path to any field, in my opinion. You just have to. I think what the expectation is from most people who just enter the industry is to try and get different roles. So I know it's not ideal to be switching jobs all the time, but try to get exposed to different roles and different companies and different environments, and that kind of teaches you a lot. It's no longer the time where our parents and maybe grandparents who used to be in a bank and they just worked for 50 years in a bank and retired in that same job. It's no longer that world anymore. The technologies are changing very rapidly, and so it's best to try and get experience across different industries. Like in finance, I was fortunate again. I did trading. I got an opportunity after MBA to be in an investment bank. So that's completely different from trading. It's like a completely different skill set and ball game. Then studied quant finance. That's different again. It was quant asset manager, and then now what we do is more wealth management. So these are different aspects of finance, but I was fortunate to move around and get some jobs all around. So try to get more experience is what I would say, in different fields. And sometimes just start somewhere. You just have to start somewhere and then figure it out. Like as you go along, just figure it out.
I just want to ask,
Don't get.
weren't you scared? Like, you were totally shifting your path from a normal
Oh yeah, totally.
job to, trading and all.
Okay, I'll give you the example. So I joined the trading firm so TCS. I don't know if they still do it, but in my days they used to have a 2-year bond. Okay, so you have to work in the company for 2 years because they train you and everything. So from 2006, when I graduated, I worked for TCS from 2006 to 2008. And this was about June, I think my bond expired. Okay, June, July, I don't know what 2008. So I joined the trading firm in 2008. And I was trading stock markets. Markets were up and down. And then we had the global financial crisis where Lehman Brothers went bankrupt in September 2008. So I started June or July. I had a training for a month, and then I was trading with live money in August and September. This happened. So within like about 15, 20 days since I started trading live money, this happened. Okay. And not just me, but all of us, we all had like a very big loss on that day, like massive loss. And here I am. I was like, I think I made the biggest mistake of my life. It was better to just be in TCS, be a coder, get my normal salary. Like, why did I have to move to this finance and trading nonsense? And I've lost so much money. And this was not even in rupees. This was all in like dollars and pounds. So when you convert that, you're like, oh my God, you're talking a lot of loss. Okay. And I like, that's it for me. This was the end of my career. 15 days of finance on my resume, and then I'm back to coding. Probably, I don't know who will give me a job. And we were entering a recession. So it's not like I was scared. I was like, oh shit, scared. And at one point, I was like praying, like, God, please save me. Like, do something. Like, something has to work. But fortunately, the boss that we had, he came out on the trading floor. And he's like, everybody, just stop what you're doing, okay? Just stop everything. Close all your positions. If it's a loss, book your loss. Just get out, okay? Stop everything. And we did that. And he's like, look, in my 30-year career, I've never seen any event like this ever happen in my life. So just relax. Just take a chill. Come to work tomorrow. don't trade, read the newspaper, go on Facebook, talk to your friends, go out, watch a movie, do whatever you want. Just don't trade. And he was the most chilled boss ever. He's like, just don't trade, just be chilled, just relax. It's not the end of the world. Things will start again. Everything will go back to normal again. And I think this was like the best advice we got, because I was like, oh, fine, thank God, like I'm not fired. And then that kind of gave you a perspective to say, maybe you're at the lowest point in your life at that point, but it's not the end of the world. Tomorrow will be a new day. You just have to take a pause, just relax, and then start again. Think, what do I do next? Like, how do I do better? Take it slow. You don't have to jump back in. Maybe take a break. So yeah, it's not like I wasn't scared. I was very scared. But you just have to just go forward. So I'm sure everyone will have their moments in their life, but yeah, just maybe the piece of advice would be, it's not the end of the world. Like, people have had so many KTs and so many, they failed so many times, but that hasn't stopped them from becoming successful people in life. So any setbacks in life, don't let it bother you. Just learn from it. I'm not saying just ignore it and keep repeating your mistake. Learn from it and move forward. Like, don't get hung up with what's happened in the past.
Yeah, and I think this times the world is changing very fast, and continuous learning has become a thing, especially in fields of finance. Now, with the inclusion of AI, it becomes very difficult to be in the competitive domain. So, what would your approach be to staying competitive, then keeping yourself updated with the new technologies? How do you?
It's very hard. I mean, this is I probably ask that question to myself, saying, how do I keep myself updated? Like I said, in a few years' time, I'll be like you, looking for a job, because AI is, growing and becoming so much more better. But I think, it's a lot of reading, is what I would say. Not just like book reading, but like online news reading, trying to figure out what's happening in the world, where the developments are. Joining professional bodies. So, for example, I'm a member of CFA. I've done my CFA exams and stuff. So, yeah, you just have to basically just keep on top of things and try and join professional organizations that can help you, that you can learn from, or basically find out more about what's happening. So, yeah, there's a lot of resource out there, but you just have to start somewhere and figure those, like, just read, just get more knowledge from those resources. And AI is a good resource. Like, you can ask whatever question. I've been using ChatGPT for any and every question that I have in life. So, yeah.
So ChatGPT has become our best friend now. So
Exactly. And it's very polite, and it and is very, very polite. It's like, great observation, great answer. Like, it
what a
compliments you
question.
as well, makes you feel very happy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so lastly, I just want to ask you that, is there a single piece of advice that you want to give to our current FRCRC students, something that could help them choose or navigate their own journey?
Um, Single piece of advice. Yeah, I don't know. What advice can I give you? Maybe be lucky in whatever you do. Luck plays a big factor. Hard work and luck, probably the right combination. The very cheesy quote comes to my mind. It was from a philosopher. And are you guys ready to learn the secret of life?
Yes.
Okay. So the dialogue goes, अगर किसी चीज को दिल से चाहो तो पूरी कायनात उसे मिलाने के लिए वो लग जाती है. I would probably say that. So if you really want to do something, just keep going for it. Never stop. Never look back. And I know it's a very crappy, cheesy quote, but look at Look at Donald Trump, right? Like people make fun of him and people make all sorts of him, but he is the president of the United States, and he didn't get elected once. He did it twice. Okay, and he is who he is as a person, and I'm not saying good or bad. All I'm saying is, if you really want to do something, anything's possible. Just go for it. So I probably that's biggest piece of advice.
Okay, and any feedback for this podcast that we had? How did you like it?
It's brilliant. I think you guys are doing fantastic, and I'm actually learning a lot from you guys. That you guys have started new initiatives and new stuff, and which I'm really happy about. So well done. I mean, yeah, keep it going. Keep the tradition going. I think you guys are doing a great job. If you need any help from me, and I'm sure there are lots of alums who are happy to help and be more engaged. We'll always be there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it brings us to the end of this podcast. So I would just like to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I know that it's not easy, like, to take out time for us, and it means a lot to us. And it's an
Thank
absolute
you.
honor having you on the Alumni Spotlight podcast. Your journey from your days at FRCRC to leading impactful work in global finance and investment has truly been inspiring. We are grateful for the valuable insights you've shared on learning, adaptability, and the evolving world of finance and technology. On behalf of the entire FRCRC family, the alumni committee, and our listeners, thank you once again for being here and for continuing to make us proud. We wish you continued success and hope to welcome you back to campus soon. Thank you.
Absolutely. It'll be my pleasure. Thank you very much for having me. All
Yes,
the best.
thank you.
Yes.
Good.
Thank